Right, Mark. Firstly, I think we're all swept along with the atmosphere on Tuesday evening, and despite defeat, it was a great atmosphere at the Abbey, and I guess it goes to show what the club are trying to achieve in terms of increasing the fan base as well as performances and what's going on the pitch.
I think so, yeah. Look, it's hard because my job's obviously like just 3 points every few days. And I shouldn't be one to speak about progress too much or talk about the bigger picture or the bits away from the football pitch, because that can look like a deflection. But if you do take a step back from the performance or from the just results for a moment and look at a bigger picture, the progress of this club in a fairly short period of time is pretty remarkable. So that should be celebrated, but it is something that can change very quickly. It's been really hard earned, but it can change very quickly. And so the biggest way, obviously, the football club continues to develop that is by providing a brilliant environment that people want to come and be part of, almost regardless of what happens on the pitch. But the best way to get people to come and watch a football team is give them a winning one, or give them certainly one that is really competitive and in-game. So that really becomes my sort of focus and job, to try and help us get to the next level on the pitch. And there's some excellent people doing great work around the football club to try and continue the growth of the club in general. And nights where you get that many people at a midweek game early on in the season during the school holidays is pretty impressive. So we want to try and maintain as high a crowd as possible. We know that won't be our average crowd this year, but we want to try and maintain as close to it as we can. And we're certainly pleased of that progress that we're making. And now we have to create a team that people want to keep watching.
Yeah, I guess when we spoke post-match on Tuesday, you said there were elements of the performance that you were happy with. I guess you've had a chance now to look back and analyse and watch the game. Is that still your line of thinking? Anything more you're happy with or otherwise?
Really happy. I think a lot of work that we've spent time trying to think about how we build the game deeper in the pitch, how we get to the top end of the pitch. I thought we did it really well for large parts of the game. There aren't so many games where we're the dominant side with the ball. And our creation of parts of our game were really good. We got to the top third of the pitch well. That doesn't mean that it's perfect, of course, and we want more moments of good quality and more creation of top chances in that period of time. But you also have to credit the opposition that they get a really big, strong team defending in huge numbers around the box. Certain moments that on other days might have led to chances were actually just defended brilliantly by them. And you have to respect them for that. The quality of the defending made it really difficult for us. And then in certain situations, the way in which we progressed the game or the way in which we built the game, in doing that, there's some wrong decisions at times. We've opened the pitch up to be countered a little bit too often on a couple of occasions, or we ended up being a little bit slow in certain moments. But that's just a consequence of trying something. So no problem with that. And you're never going to go to being a possession dominant team overnight, or even in the games where you do have it, which isn't all the time and isn't that often for us. You're not going to see perfection in those bits, but we certainly saw some really good stuff. I thought the fullbacks gave us really good attacking threat. Jack helped us build deep in the pitch. George Thomas had some brilliantly influential moments in the game. And then when you get to the top end and there's so limited space because they take that away and defend with such good numbers and such aggression, it was tough to create really good moments in the game. But there was plenty to like in that performance for sure. And certainly one to build on. Not that every game will look like that, but certainly when we come up against those games in the future, we'll be better served for it.
Yeah, obviously frustrating the way the two goals were conceded. Is that, Mark, just a kind of a nature of how defensively it goes over a season, or are you looking at that and trying to put things right and looking at it in terms of not wanting to have that situation again going forward?
Well, it's obvious that we don't want it again. I think what it's the nature of is we keep 2 clean sheets and then everyone thinks you should just keep them all the time. Or you win 2 games, everyone thinks you should just win all the time and you should be dominant all the time and the opposition's got nothing to do with the game. I mean, it's just football, isn't it? Like, things that you don't want to happen and do want to happen. Things go well, things don't go well. We'll concede goals throughout the season. Look at the last 2, we've conceded shed loads. So we want to bring that number down for sure. We want more clean sheets as possible. We played against a team that are brilliant at what they do, so I'm absolutely not surprised by the goals that they scored. The first one we can defend that moment better, but it's a super strength for their team, so they'll score loads of goals like it, regardless of how much work you do defending it and what your mentality is and knowing that you don't want that to happen. Like, wanting and not wanting something to happen isn't the reason it does happen. If it was, everyone would do everything right all the time. It's just seeing out certain moments. We didn't see that moment out. Conceded a difficult goal or a poor goal in the first instance. And the second goal, the timing of the goal is the frustration because we just got ourselves ahead. But it's a brilliant strike from the lad on the edge of the box. We haven't landed on a second ball well, but he still had to score from 20, 25 yards and he's hit it really well. So, yeah, fair play to them. They deserved the moments. They made the most of the moments they had. We couldn't quite do that ourselves. But there's certainly plenty to like in our game, and we'll try to deliver a really good performance that gets us a result this weekend.
Yeah, a weekend which includes no travelling, which you'll be happy with. Another home game against Bristol Rovers. How important is it that the players, and I know that generally they will be, switced on for Saturday? And has that been a little tricky, given that it's been an unbeaten start to the season prior to Tuesday evening?
No, because I don't think anyone expected we'd win every game. So this is just normal. I mean, I haven't seen anyone since Tuesday. But I don't think there'll be an issue with that. Obviously, Bristol have started great. They've had 3 tough games and took good results, and won right at the end at Charlton on Tuesday night. And they built a brilliant side. There's no question they'll be fighting for playoff positions this year. I think they've built a good side, coached very well, got a very good way with the ball. Very difficult to break down and counter-attack very well. So I think they've got loads going for them. I thought they were a strong side last year that we found it difficult against, and they've got stronger in the summer, no question. So we know it'll be a tough game, but I don't think there'll be any doubt or worry about us being up for the game or ready for the game. Obviously, the ability to make lots of changes isn't there for us, so we just need to try and freshen the players up over the next couple of days and hit a really good level. But we've got to this point in good shape. 6 points from the first 3 games is fine, and I actually think that there was, against some good sides and some difficult sides, I think we played well 3 times, very well actually.
In terms of just touching on Tuesday, obviously one big blow was Sekou Jana. You said at the time that he was probably going to head off for a scan. Any news on that one, Mark, and in terms of the extent of the injury and how long he might be out for?
Scans today, so he's in London today for the scan, so we should find out this afternoon what it is. But it doesn't look good. I expect it to be quite a long time. It's a hamstring injury, so I imagine it will be for a long period. That was costly for us in the game because of took away an attacking sub early, and he's been great in the start. So disappointing to lose him. We don't know how long that'll be yet, but I wouldn't imagine it'll be a quick one.
Yeah, and it's a real shame for him as well, because obviously he's been in great form, not only in pre-season, but throughout the first few games of the season. So it's a big blow for you, really, to lose him at this stage. Yeah,
for both of us. Obviously, we don't want that, and we know the impact that losing good players can have on the squad. So, yeah, we'll have to do something about that. But it's disappointing for him, first and foremost, because he started well and was doing great. But his challenge will be to get back and have the same impact when he returns.
Yeah, and in terms of Jordan Cousins, any further news on him, Mark? Will he be ready for Saturday? Probably not. If not, when do you expect to see him back?
Yeah, we don't expect to see him for 4 to 6 weeks. So he's back in today. He's had some injections and bits just to try and settle things down. He's got an injury in his quad. So we don't expect that to be for the next period of probably 6 weeks from this point. But obviously that can chop and change. But it will certainly be a decent period of time that he's missing.
Yeah, what's the extent of the injury in terms of the actual diagnosis itself, Mark, on that one?
I have no idea, mate. I just know he's out for that period of time. You'll have to ask the physio on the detail of the injury, but he's injured his quad. He's out for 6 weeks. That's all I know.
Okay, and in terms of Bristol Rovers, obviously they've had a great start to the season, as you mentioned earlier, the late winner against Charlton, but they've had some really tough games so far, faced Barnsley and Portsmouth as well as Charlton, so it's going to be a real challenge, but no doubt one you'll embrace on Saturday. Absolutely,
yeah. I think we want to take everybody on at our place and be as competitive as we can be in this game as we have been in the other ones, but certainly they're a strong side. I think they've shown that with their opening start to the season. Obviously Joey Barton missed the first few but was back on the touchline at Charlton on the midweek game. They've got some real strength in the squad and huge options in the attacking parts of the pitch, so whether or not they make changes to the team from Tuesday, they'll certainly make changes in game, if not, because they've got the ability to do that and they've been very, very strong. So I expect them to be a real force in the league this year, to be honest. And I expect it to be a really tough game for us at the weekend, but one that we will go and take on the best way we know how, and try and be as competitive as we can and get a result out of the game. In the end, we want to chase as many wins as early as possible as we can get. and we want to be a point-scoring team. And if it comes down to games like Tuesday, we want to make sure we take something from those games. So certainly a day that we're looking to add to our tally.
Yeah, of course, you've got a free week next week, which allows the players and everyone else just a bit of a mental and a physical rest. But it looks like you have to obviously make changes for this Saturday against Bristol Rovers. Obviously, Sekou Jan are out, but a good chance for Elias Kachunga, if he's selected, to come in, and obviously did well on Tuesday, getting his goal as well.
Yeah, he did great, considering he wasn't expecting to certainly play that long and come on that long. We have to see how he is after that, because that's a long period of time for him to have played. Sule Kai trains today, so hopefully we've got him to be available at the weekend as well, which helps. Is well timed, really. So it gives us a few options as to what we can do. So we'll see in the next couple of days how we shape up as to what we do for the weekend.
Yeah, I was going to say, it must be frustrating for Sule. Obviously, he signs for the club, and he literally played a matter of minutes in that opening day win over Oxford, so he'll be champing at the bit to get going, no doubt.
Yeah, he definitely is. I mean, it's one of the frustrations if you sign players a little bit later. You get some good ones, but they're probably not as up to speed and ready as the others that have been here. And then he's obviously picked up a small thing in his calf, which just kept him out of one of the games. And then since the time when he come on against Oxford and took a hit, it's just sort of locked his back and neck and everything else. So that's settled. He's managed to put a few days together now. But that was obviously what kept him out the last little period. So it's been a bit stop-start. We need to try and get some rhythm into him, get some consistency into his game and training over the next few weeks, which hopefully less games gives us a chance to do, because there's no question he'll be a really big player for us.
Yeah, no doubt. And Mark, just wanted to get your thoughts on a general football point. Obviously, great achievement for the Lionesses yesterday. Were you able to sit down and watch the game, and will you do so this Sunday? Because obviously it's great for the country and great for them as a group of players. Yeah,
I will watch it Sunday. I didn't see yesterday. I was watching Bristol Rovers, so I will be watching Sunday morning. It should be really enjoyable. I think it's great that you see how much it inspires people, and it really lifts women's football, I think, first of all, which is important, and obviously something that's big for our club as well in terms of development pathways and the women's team. So certainly something that, off the back of really successful Euros as well, to back that up and getting 2 consecutive major finals is a pretty big deal. So yeah, fingers crossed they can bring it home on the weekend, because it'll be quite exciting, and I think it'll probably help add to the legacy that the Lionesses are leaving.
Cheers, Mark. Thanks. That's all from me.
Mark, given sort of what's happened over the first 3 games, were you surprised at the lack of extra time that was played in the Stevenage game? And does that make it even more difficult if there's going to be an inconsistency between referees?
I probably was a bit surprised, yeah, probably because of the precedent that's been set in the earlier games. But Howard Webb did come out and say he didn't expect what happened on weekend 1 to be the norm. And whilst there seems to be a bit of inconsistency at the moment, there probably always will be from one game to the next or one ref to the next, because that's just normal and human. But I think it will settle down a little bit, and I don't think we'll see this double figure number constantly coming up, because let's be honest, nobody wants it, and that's been made really clear in the early days. So I think it's officials adjusting and readjusting to where do you add the time, what do you add the time for. In the early days of the season, they were adding time for just setting up restarts, where they haven't done that on Tuesday. They've literally gone booking subs goals and no other time. And the fourth said to me, nothing else has happened, which was true, but that wasn't the formula that was used in the previous couple of weeks. So I think it will take a little bit of time for the officials to get to grips with the right formula and how to implement that rule. And I do think that Stevenage had played almost an additional game in their previous games. I just don't think I don't think anyone wants that so much. So I imagine it will be a little bit more than last year, but in the end, but not too much. So maybe what we saw the other night is going to become a little bit more common than what we'd seen the previous couple of games.
Yes.
Mark, just on the transfer side of things, you said a week or so ago, maybe a bit more, that you thought your business was done. Is your transfer stance changed at all as a result of these injuries to Sekou and Jordan?
Yeah, we'll definitely look to add to the squad in those attacking areas and to cater for those players that are injured. So we're working hard on that now, and we'll see what we can do before the window shuts.
Are you able to say any more as to what you're looking for, what kind of transfer that might be, loan or permanent?
Absolutely not. Open to anything, mate. Depends what's out there in the next week. I mean, positionally, it's obvious because it's where we've got players a little bit lighter. But in terms of what those transfers look like, it's more likely to be loans than anything, because those players are fit and have had pre-seasons. I wouldn't imagine it's free transfers, just because they haven't trained for months. So we certainly need people that are ready to come in and help us straight away. But who that is, where they come from, obviously that's the scramble every club's in at the moment. So we're looking hard at what's available, and hopefully we've got something next week to add to the group.
Do you think you'll be able to do it next week, or are you happy to wait as long as deadline day?
Well, we'll wait as long as we have to, but we want it as soon as possible, because we're a little bit light in the squad. You even saw on Tuesday we didn't have the attacking intent or options that we had previously. So we need to do it. We need to do it quickly, but you could sign someone fast and get the wrong one. So we've got to make sure we get the right ones and hope that those are available and try and make us stronger. So yeah, timing wise, obviously I want it now, but that's probably a bit unrealistic.
How many are you looking for then? Did you say more than one, potentially?
I would imagine a couple if we can do, yeah.
Okay, I've been told one more question. What's the team news for Saturday? You've mentioned a few, but did everyone come through the game okay?
Yeah, I mean, as far as I know, in terms of like post-match, there was a few that got beat up a little bit because it was that type of game, but everybody else was okay. We need to check on Kachunga. Sulekai's training the next couple of days, so we'll see if he's available, and obviously Seku's the only one who's definitely out, but just see how the lads shape up this morning and tomorrow.